Hey everybody, welcome to Barbecue by Biggs. I'm Aaron and today we're doing something special. We're gonna take arguably the best side dish in barbecue and we're gonna put it in a sausage. That's right, mac and cheese brats. You wanna see how we got here? Come along with us. Stay tuned. All right, today we're making these mac and cheese brats out of brisket and out of pork butt. It's gonna be about a 60-40 beef to pork ratio. But before we get started, we need to get that big chunk of decal fat off and any more hard fat that just isn't very appetizing. So we'll get that trimmed up here. So we're making the PS Seasoning mac and cheese brats today. This is a fresh sausage, not a smoked sausage. Now you can add smoke to it like we're going to do at the end, but it is a fresh sausage, so you can grill it, you can pan fry it, you can get it on your smoker, whatever you'd like to do. So both these we're gonna cut up in these small chunks about this size to go down the throat of our grinder. If your grinder doesn't have a throat that big, just cut it in the squares, into the chunks that'll fit down in your grinder. So we'll get these all cut up and then we'll move on and show you what we're gonna do with this pork butt as well. We got the pork butt, this is a bone in, so we're gonna have to fillet this off the bone. So we're gonna cut that meaty end off and then we'll just, as we did the brisket, cut it into some of those smaller little chunks that'll fit down the throat of your grinder. This is fairly easy to do. You can do this with a bone in or a bone out. Just remember, when you look at the weight on the bone in, you're gonna lose quite a bit of weight by that bone. Again, this is the size that fits down our grinder. If you're just smaller, go ahead and cut it like we are here. It doesn't really matter. So we're gonna get these cut up and get them ready to go into our grinder. We are using natural hog casings. These are stored in salt. So we're just gonna get these out. You got some warm water here. We're gonna let them soak in this warm water for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then we're gonna pour this water off, rinse them down, and then put it in some cool water to let it soak and stay moist. So we took these chunks and we put them out in the freezer. We put them in the freezer for about 30 to 45 minutes or so, just until they got a little bit hard. Also, as you could tell, maybe you can't tell on this, that throat of that grinder and the grinding components all went into the freezer and they're cold. So we're just gonna put this down the freezer, get this ground up and get it ready to go into those sausage casings. So now that we got it ground up, we're just gonna throw some ice through here. It helps push out some of that extra meat that's left into that throat. So we'll get this all cleared out of here and get ready to put our seasonings together. All right, like we said before, we're gonna use the mac and cheese seasoning from PS Seasoning. It's the 353B, and we're just gonna cut this. We're gonna cover the top of this meat. Again, we have 25 pounds of meat in this tub. So we're just gonna cover that top with that seasoning, just like this. And then once we get the top covered, we're just gonna kind of turn it over on itself and kind of get it mixed up a little bit and then pour the rest of that in there. Now you don't wanna dump it all in at one time. You wanna try to get some on the bottom, get some on the top, and then add that seasoning a little bit at a time. That way you got full coverage and you know what? It'll turn out perfect. So we'll get all this in here, get it mixed up. So once it's in here, you're just gonna hand mix it. Just push it. If you have a mixer, meat mixer, go ahead and use that. If not, you're just gonna knead this by hand, just like we're doing here. Once you have it kneaded, you know, satisfactory, just add a little bit of water. We had 2 cups of water, we're gonna add half of it here. Once we get the water in there, we're gonna pour those noodles right on top of it. And then we're just gonna take it and massage both the noodles and that water into that meat and that seasoning. Once we have a really good coat of seasoning on everything that's in here, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna add that rest of that water to make it a little bit more moist. So as you can see here, we're getting kind of sticky. You're having some protein extraction. We're gonna go ahead and put that rest of that water in there to get that rest of that seasoning mixed up into that meat, and then we'll get that binded together. As you can tell here, we have a good extraction, really sticky to the fingertips. Now it's time to add our cheese. So we're gonna add in 3 pounds of cheese. That's 2 pounds of cheddar cheese. This is High-Temp cheese from PS Seasonings as well. The links for all of this stuff is down in the description like we said before. It's a really easy to do when you have their mixes. Their mixes makes it really easy to do. So we added 2 pounds of that cheddar cheese and 1 pound of mozzarella to make it really, really cheesy. So once you get this cheese in there, you don't want to smash it in, but you do want to fold it in just like you're folding a biscuit together, just to make sure you have good cheese coverage throughout. So once you get that cheese mixed in there and everything is sticky and sticking together and you have that protein extraction that you're looking for, you're gonna make yourself a little bit of patty to go ahead and cook up to make sure that those seasonings are right. And as you can see here, we're pushing that patty together. It sticks to the bottom of your hand, doesn't fall off. It's ready to go. So we're gonna get that patty, we're gonna shape it, we're gonna get it on our stove, and we're gonna get ourselves a taste of it. So just over medium heat, fry you up a little patty, and you know what? Taste it. If it's right and it doesn't need any salt, it doesn't need any pepper, go for it. Got it all done? That's what I'm talking about. Once you get the taste that you're looking for, it's time to stuff the sausage. So we're using a Meat Your Maker 15-pound sausage stuffer, just like the Meat Your Maker 1 horsepower grinder that we used earlier. Those links are in the description if you're interested in any of those products. So we're gonna take these casings, you're just gonna open the end up, stick your fingers in to have a little bit of air gap there, dip it into that cool, clean water, just like we're doing here. Dip in that cool, clean water, and then you're just gonna pull up, and what that's gonna do 2 things. It's gonna flush those casings out, and it's also gonna straighten them out. So once you have those flushed out, just pull them out. We're gonna take it right over the horn. As you can tell here, we preloaded the horn, pushed down a little bit until it stops at the end there. It keeps the amount of air from getting to the end of your sausage. So we're gonna slide that on the end, and then of course it just slides right on. Once you get it slid all the way up to the top, you're gonna tie a knot right on the end of this. Once you have that knot tied, it's ready to fill up those sausages. So we'll get this knot tied up and we'll be ready to go. Pull it to the end here, and now you're just gonna have even pressure. You can put pressure to that bottom and to that top of that horn, just enough pressure to fill that casing up. You don't want it too thick and you don't want it too thin. You want it just right. You'll be able to tell if it gets too much in it, because then you'll start having problems with it popping. And if it's too small, then it'll just look kind of weak and it'll have some air bubbles in it. So just feed it out of there, and then once you get to the end of that, all you're gonna do is pull it off the end of that and tie a knot. Again, if you have some looseness in here, that's gonna take care of itself when you get these linked up. So we have a mark here on the side of our sheet here, which is about 6.5, 7 inches. You know, you're gonna pinch here, and then you just take both of them and you're gonna spin it. And I'll show you one more time how to do this. You measure it out, pinch here, measure again, pinch here, and then spin. So we'll get the rest of these linked up and ready to go, and once we get them all linked up, we're gonna get them in the freezer, let them get hard, and then we'll get them vacuum sealed up and get them ready to go. We will leave some out in the refrigerator overnight to make sure that we have some to cook and to taste for you guys, so stay tuned for that. And you know what? We'll see you in a little bit. All right, we've had them out in the freezer for about 1.5 hours or so, just enough to get them tacky, so when you vacuum seal them, they won't suck down. We're gonna get these split apart, get them vacuum sealed up, and into the freezer. We'll bring you guys back for the cook and the taste. See you in a minute. So we got 25 pounds of sausage stuffed, and you know what? We took 5 out to cook for you guys. We took the rest, we put it in the freezer and let it harden up, and then we put it into vacuum seal those bags and back into the freezer. These we put on a little rack, left them in the refrigerator overnight, and now we're gonna get them on, cook them up, and let you guys see what the final results are. Let's get them on. All right, we got the Yoder up to temp. 275 degrees is what we're rolling at. We're just gonna leave these on the rack, put them right in the middle of the rack here, roll these until they're done. So we'll bring you guys back when they're all complete. Shouldn't take very long, 30 to 45 minutes or so to get that internal temperature that we're looking for. So we'll bring you back for the taste. See you in a minute. All right, we've been on about 35 minutes. Looks like they're done. So we'll get these off, let them cool down for a few minutes, and we'll cut them and give them a taste. Bring you guys back. Man, these turned out looking good. You can see all the cheese and all the macaroni on the sides of it. Let's cut in this thing and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, let me bring you in here. So you can look at this thing here, and you can see all the cheese in there. You can see the noodles. Oh man, that looks good. Let's get a taste of this thing. Man, it looks good. Let's see if we can get some snap out of it. Mmm. Squirted juices everywhere. Oh man. That's good, man. Look at that. Hopefully you can see it. Mmm. Man, these are delicious. You guys have got to try this. So, you know what? I'm gonna sit out here and eat the rest of this. I'll catch you guys on the next cook. See you next time.